This is going to be a video on autism, what autism isn't, why a lot of people with autism don't talk about it, why people with autism a lot of times don't tell other people that they have autism. They kind of keep to themselves. They don't tell people. They're afraid to tell people why that is. Some of the things that are just not true at all about autism. Um, Autism used to be autism and Asperger syndrome. They used to be a little bit different characteristics, and now they got rid of the Asperger syndrome. I don't know, like 2010 to 13, somewhere around there. Now it's just autism. They label it on a scale of 1 to 3, depending on how severe it is, a scale of the severity. Um, some of the common characteristics of autism are a lot of times antisocialness. Preferring to be by yourself a lot of times. I know that's a big case with me and my brothers. The time I knew him, I met him when I was 18 for a few years, saw him off, and he was the same way. A lot of people are very antisocial to themselves. I don't really do social events. I don't make myself go to social events. It never worked for me. For years I tried forcing myself to be social, go to social events. I don't think in that way. I don't think in a social way. I don't think about going to social events. I'm very to myself. I go to the gym. I'm very to myself. I'm very to myself all the time. I compete in bodybuilding shows. I'm very to myself at the shows. I'm not a social person. I don't do social scenes. I don't think in that way. I don't think in terms of being social. I don't know if a lot of everybody's that extreme with it, but I'm very, 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 very to myself. A lot of people with autism have very obsessive focus, very, very obsessive focus with one particular thing, one hobby, and a lot of times that's a characteristic of a very, very obsessive focus where a lot of times nothing else whatsoever matters but that topic, that hobby, that sport, whatever it is. Very obsessive focus that a lot of people do not understand. They don't get it. They don't think in that way. A lot of time that's a characteristic of autism. So what autism isn't? Autism is not Down syndrome. Autism is not Down syndrome. It's not the same as Down syndrome. Autism is not a mental handicap. It does not have to be a disability. A lot of people make it out to be a disability, look at it as a disability, maybe turn it into a disability for themselves. A lot of people do that with autism. Autism does not have to be a disability, and autism, more often than not, is not a lowering of the IQ. A lot of people with autism have average IQ to high IQ to genius IQ. A lot of scientists, great scientists, have autism. Einstein was thought to have autism. A lot of scientists, a lot of inventors, a lot of athletes, a lot of scientists and inventors were thought to have autism, and there were characteristics of it. So it's definitely not a mental handicap as far as IQ goes. I'm not going to do the vaccine debate. Do vaccines cause it? I don't know. Do they contribute to it? I don't know. But what autism is not really debatable is autism is largely genetic. It's often genetic. It often runs in families, and there's been studies done of siblings who were separated at birth and raised by different parents, and both turned out to have autism. And that was the case in my family with me and my brother. We were separated at birth, born years apart, same mother, different dad, completely different families, and both ended up being diagnosed with autism. And there's been studies done that is the case. So it can definitely be a genetic part. And I know a lot of parents, mothers, and I've heard it happening, completely freak out because their child has autism, and they're blaming it on themselves and vaccines. Did that cause it? You have no idea. You don't know if that caused it. A lot of times autism is genetics, and that has been shown. That's not debatable. It has been absolutely shown that autism runs in families and can be genetic. And the other thing is freaking out that your child is disabled or has some kind of defect. Autism is not a defect. Autism is not a defect, and it does not have to be a disability. There are amazing people with autism, people with autism that set standards at what they do. It does not have to be a disability. And to freak out and look at autism like, oh my God, why does my child have autism? That's not, and to look at it as defect, that is a misunderstanding of what autism is. Autism is a difference. It's not a defect. It's not a defect. It is a difference like any other difference. Everybody's different. Um, there's certain things with autism that you're going to be better at or worse at, generally speaking, than most people. There's certain parts of the brain, like everybody's different. Everybody's brain works different. Some people are very creative, some people are very logical. Um, Autism has certain parts of the brain that are going to be stronger and other parts that are not going to be as strong. That's not a defect. That's a difference, not a defect. So, um, hopefully that helps some. What autism is, some of what it is, some of what it isn't. So it's not a defect, it's not a disability. It doesn't have to be looked at as a disability, it doesn't have to be looked at as a defect. And I was going to say, a lot of people don't mention autism to people. I know a lot of people don't tell people they have autism. I don't talk about it. I never talk about it. I don't ever tell anybody I have autism unless I do something like this, and it's been years since I've done that. I was on TV for it. I had to be talked into that. I don't ever talk about it. Why? Because when people find out about it, when I used to compete in bodybuilding shows, I still do, just taking a break from it right now. People find out I have autism, and a lot of times, and I know other people get this too, you get talked to people with talk to me like I'm a dog, like a dog, like they don't get it, they don't understand, like they've heard something about it and they don't get it, and a lot of people don't get it. They have ideas about what autism is, and it's not that. It's not that at all. Like, completely wrong ideas about what it is, completely stereotyped, like middle school ideas of what autism is. And I know I've heard from other people with it that they don't mention it. They don't mention to people that they have autism, and they're afraid to tell people. Like, I had a guy talk to me like, I'm talking to somebody who I want to date, and I don't want to tell them that I have autism. Should I? Shouldn't I? I don't know. And I didn't either when I was talking to somebody who I wanted to date. They found out about it through social media because I wouldn't tell them. I didn't want that. That wasn't going to be the first thing I wanted them to know. It's misunderstood. People don't get it. People have wrong ideas about it. So that's often not talked about for that reason. People just don't get it at all. People don't know what it is. They think of it as Down syndrome. They think of it as stupidity. They think of it as a lot of things that it's not at all. Like, it's the complete opposite sometimes, of complete opposite of what a lot of people think it is. So it doesn't get talked about, but a lot of people don't tell people about it. So there you go, what it is, what it isn't, and hopefully they helped.